made something very clear. And he was talking about authority. He was talking about how you gain authority. And he talked about how authority does not come because it is deemed down to you. Authority doesn't come because somebody just sees you, but authority comes because you submit yourself to authority. And he began to talk about the centurion who said, I am a man of authority, or under authority, but I also have authority. And as I began to ponder about this thing, and I began to listen to what he was saying, and then as we begin to charge the pastor and his wife to the work of ministry, and as we begin to share with them what the Lord has said, and as I was driving back home yesterday, in my mind, I was just like, I was telling God, thank you. I was telling him thank you because of this right here. Because no matter where I have found myself in ministry, I thank God that God has always given me good leadership. I can recall it back, some of the things that my father instilled, some of the things that my father told me, some of the things my father did I didn't like. And as I was sharing with the young men this morning, I said, my father made me really the musician that I am today, with no musical background other than playing drums, but he couldn't play a lick of keyboard, but he could play it with his mouth. And that's how he taught me, really. That's how he taught me how to play. And I remember how I would watch and I would see how he would interact. My father was probably one of the most prolific men that could go in any setting, no matter what setting it was, and would change the atmosphere of anything. He could go into a Baptist church and the Baptists would receive him. He could go into a Methodist church and the Methodist folk received him. He could go into a Presbyterian church and the Presbyterians would receive him, because he had that kind of ability. He had that magnetism, if you want to use that word. And as I begin to think about it, I begin to thank God, because you don't recognize sometimes the power of good leadership until power of good leadership is not there. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm prefacing for where I'm going, because as I begin to sit back and I listen at the man of God, apostle who ministered on yesterday, and I began to listen to his words, and I began to listen to what he was saying. And when he started speaking, it started resonating, it started making sense, Brother Carter, because I remembered, I started going back down memory lane and understanding how difficult it was for me to sit under my father, and he yelled at me every Sunday. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. Every Sunday, not just in church, but after church, going to ride home from church, and even going into the house from church. And he would yell and scream because we didn't get it right. And I remembered how after that, I was able to go into another setting and then this setting and deal with the same thing with the pastor, coming down hard on us as ministers of music, or as musicians, but grooming us for such a point and a moment in our life that it helped us to realize, it would help me to realize some things. And as I began to reminisce over these things, and then I reminisce how I came from Charleston and moved here to Charlotte and played for Bishop Mickens in Concord, and how that was a fight, was a growing moment. And all these great men that I began to think about that was in my life, and how they shaped and how they molded and how they patterned my life for such a purpose for now. For such a place as now, how they took, how I didn't see it then, but now as I'm older, I see where God has instilled and what God has brought us. There are many of us in this place who've had the grandparents, who had the great grandmamas, who had somebody in our life that saw beyond who we were at that moment to see who we are. Even though not yet ever being there, but they saw who we are, not who we were. They saw who we are. At 2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, whatever it is, they saw in us who we are. And never let who we are succumb to who we were. Y'all. My father didn't realize that I was going to be a good musician, or he didn't realize that, I didn't realize, that I was going to be a good musician, but he saw it. He saw something that I didn't see. But he would never let me be what I saw. Aren't you glad that some folk never let you be what you saw? Because if you would have been what you saw, you would never be where you are right now. If it had not been for somebody that looked inside of you and seen something greater than what you see of yourself, far beyond your problems and issues and circumstances and stuff that you've done, it didn't matter because they did not look at that. I am so grateful that some moments people saw through God's eyes. That the Bible says that he looked beyond my faults and see my needs, that he does not see me, but he sees himself. And so I'm grateful because it intermingles into our text that we're about to get into, because you have to understand this and catch this. This is going to be something that's going to bless you. You have to recognize this. You can never trust your sight when it comes to you. Say that. Okay. I'll say it again. You can never trust your sight when it comes to you, because you know you better than anybody else know you. And when your sight of you becomes bigger than the sight of God, now you'll fall into a place where you think what you see is correct. Isn't it strange? Watch this. This blesses me. This blesses me. Isn't it interesting that when they put Samson in prison, they did 2 things to him. 3 really. They bound him up, they cut his hair, and they plucked out his eyes. I'm about to bless somebody. Okay, bound him up. Okay, he could not move. Cut his hair so he has no strength. But plucked out his eyes so he cannot see. But the other 2 things, watch this, could be reversed. My God. Yeah. The chains could be loosed. The hair could grow back. But the eyes could not come back. But listen to what Samson said. Samson did not ask for sight again, because he was seeing more clearly now than he ever saw with eyes. My God. The Bible says, Samson said, Lord, if you give me my strength back. Y'all ain't gonna follow me. He says, not my sight, because I don't need to see no more, because I see clear already. I see your plan. I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're making me. All I need now is strength again. I'm trying to get some folk to recognize some stuff that had you not looked through the sight of other people, you wouldn't have been here this morning. It was the sight of your grandmama. It was the sight of your daddy. It was the sight of your mama. It was the sight of somebody in your life that saw you better than that, baby. No. I was talking to Bishop May. I'm getting my text. And one of his pastors, they were at the house the other day for breakfast. And we were talking. And he said, you want to know how we met? I said, yeah, I want to know how you met. He said, I was in the club. The pastor said it. I said, I was in the club. And when I was in the club, he said, this big guy came and tapped me on my shoulder. and said, "You dancing like you in church. You don't belong here." You know, he said, "What you talking about? What you talking? I don't belong here." He said, "You don't belong here." He said, "Where you go to church at?" And he tried to play it off for a while. And eventually he told him where he went to church at. Let me help you understand something, people of God. You're going to stick out no matter where you are. When the call of God is on your life, I don't care what you do. Hide amongst the trees, sow fig leaves around you. Go try to hide in Ziklag. I don't care where you go. You're going to stick out. Stop hating being different. Stop hating being someone peculiar. Because that's what the word called us. We're peculiar people. We are a chosen generation, chosen people, a royal priesthood. Stop negating who you are. Because who you are helps you now to gain strength in what you're to do. I say this all the time, and I'm moving. We always deem hierarchialism. I hate this. I hate that word. Hierarchialism is, who's least the greatest and greatest the least. Well, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you an honest question. Would anybody go to a doctor whose doctor's office is nasty? Hello? Why not? He's the best surgeon in the world. It's not clean. So how can the doctor be greater than the custodian? He's really not. The custodian is just as important as the doctor. The doctor may take care of you, but if the doctor's not taken care of, he can't take care of you. That makes perfect sense. See, when we fail to realize that what we deem as insignificant and what we deem as small is not insignificant or small at all, it is probably the most important thing. Maya broke her toe this week. She broke her pinky toe. The smallest member of your body. I don't know what it is. I think she followed through her mama's footsteps because her mama broke her pinky toe too. I'm like, Lord, what are y'all? Is this a pattern with y'all? And so, watch this. Every step hurt. She couldn't put on shoes. She was trying to walk sideways, looking like she was some. I don't know what she was doing. She was just trying to find a way. Watch this. This is going to bless you. She was trying to find a way to cope. But she could not cope because it was broken. No matter what position she tried to do it, she tried to put on her Uggs to give her some cushion. It would not work because it was broken. It was out of place. It was not correct, so it was out of place, so it made her try to find comfortability. She could not find it. Watch this. Even the ibuprofen wasn't working. Stop thinking that you don't matter. Just because you may be the smallest member, still you matter to keep balance. She couldn't walk right. Everything was off. Her foot, I'm telling you, I looked it up like, "Oh, baby, please, let's do something." But watch this. This is the thing I think messed me up the most when I caught the revelation. There was no medication that could be given. It had to heal on its own. Okay, maybe somebody will catch that tomorrow. Maybe somebody, there is nothing the doctor can do. The only thing it can do is heal on its own. The only thing he can do is put tape on it, set it in place, and let it heal on its own. Oh, y'all didn't catch this because we caught this. See, some of you are waiting on other folk to heal you. You're waiting on situations to heal you. You're waiting on things to get better to heal you. But the only way it's going to heal is you got to heal. I know you're trying to find a word to get healing. I know you're trying to find some prayer time to get healing. I know that. But look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, this healing is not coming through stuff. It's coming through you. So, the only thing we could do is tape it, protect it, and keep it moving. Okay, I just heard somebody, how can that heal me? Because when you spend all your time in where you were, you'll never get to where you're going. It's all right to cry, but cry moving. It's all right to be mad. Get mad moving. Sometimes it's the crying and the madness that's trying to provoke your movement. Okay. Maybe let me break it down to you like this. Since you need me to give another illustration, I'll give you another illustration. It is always interesting, watch this, that as we grow, we become less sensitive to a person's cry. When you first have your baby, it's like every time you hear something, what's going on? They move it, and you, what's wrong? They start crying, you jumping up. As time progresses, this is going to bless you. You don't start jumping so fast. Because you are recognizing that they are coming to a point and age where they can identify and do for themselves. God have mercy. When they're babies, it is the responsibility of the mother and the father to attend to every cry of the child, because the child can't take care of itself. But as the child grows up, the less you get moved by their cries. Some of you are still trying to be diapered when you're 20 years old and mad because God is not moving at every cry. Y'all ain't gonna preach to me today. But God's saying, I don't need to move at these cries because I've already put inside of you what you need to get to the next place. See, let me tell you something. Maya know how to go in there and cook eggs. She know how to go in there and cook sausage. She even know how to go in there and boil an egg and all these things. Put a toast on, the whole nine. Fix her juice. All of these things. If she roll up in our room, asking for some food, we looking at her like she crazy. Because you already know how to go do these things for yourself. Some of y'all, Jesus is looking at you like you crazy. Because he's saying, I've already put inside of you everything you need for this moment. But you're trying to get me to do your work. But look at somebody and say, neighbor, get your work done yourself. Okay. 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 Scripture. 1 Samuel chapter 30. Opens up, Ziklag, destroyed, all stuff done. He tells David, he says, David, he cries, he's screaming, he's having a baby tantrum. But when he recognizes that the baby tantrum isn't working, okay, the baby tantrum is not helping. God ain't speaking, he ain't talking to a crybaby. He's talking to a person that now is mature enough to hear and ask what needs to be done. This is the problem. We're waiting on questions to be answered that we never asked. Okay, there was a movie called I, Robot. Maybe that'll help you understand something a little better. And it had this little cube, and the guy would come up off the cube, and he would ask the questions. And as he was asking the questions, when he asked the right question, the guy would say, now you asked the right question. The problem with most of us in the church is that we're not asking God anything. We're begging God for stuff. Wow. Children beg for things. Grown-ups ask for stuff. Y'all know our babies do, please, 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 can I get that? Please, please, can I get that? I promise you I'll pay you back. Can you get that? Please, 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 can you get that? Please, please, please. I promise you, Mama, I'll do my chores if you just do that for me. They beg. That's what children do. Adults ask. So God now, he's moved from the child and walked into his rightful place as the king, as the prophet, and he begins to inquire. He asked of the Lord, what shall I do? Now notice this, he's not asking a question concerning his own personal life. He's asking a question concerning the life of the people. What should I do with this? Watch this. He says, pursue, go down, get it, take it back. All these things, right? He says this. Now notice the first thing he does. He gathers. He gets prepared to go. He's not waiting. He's not looking for a second opinion. He's not looking for somebody to confirm this. He's not looking for somebody to bring confirmation. He does it. Stop looking for everybody to co-sign on what God tells you, because everybody don't know what God said. Okay. I'll say it again. Stop looking for everybody to co-sign on what God tells you, because everybody don't know what God said. He didn't say this to the men. He didn't say this to the guys. He said this to David. David gets up, he gathers the people, he gets them ready. This is the second thing. You got to understand how to follow someone that has a vision. Come on. Oh, my God. David had the vision of the Lord now to do something, not for him, but for the people. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, this is bigger than me. You're not in this thing because of you. You're in this thing because there are other people connected to you that need to hear and see God for themselves through you. That's why you're here. That's why you're placed where you are. That's why you're in your job. That's why you're in your family. That's why you're in your area. That's why you went to Walmart at this time of day instead of that time of day, because there was somebody there that needed to see the presence of God in the earth. They needed to see it because they had a hopeless situation. Their situation was deemed over. Everything is done. Our families, our livestock, our children are gone. They needed somebody to bring some faith and trust back into the situation. So David is the man. There are people in your family that's looking for faith and trust, and the only way they're going to see it is through you, not through the books. Y'all ain't going to talk to me today. People are struggling in your family because you refuse to be the Bible instead of telling them to read the Bible. Okay. Folk in your family are hurting right now because you won't give the word, trying to get them to go read the word. They can't read the word because they don't even understand the word from the beginning, because they're walking in sin. They're walking in carnality. And the Bible says the spirit knows nothing of the flesh, and the flesh understands nothing of the spirit. You're wanting them to read something that they won't understand, but they can understand you. So David now has a bigger task than what we deem and see here. It's not just David being a leader, but David now has to be the leader. He has to be the executioner. He has to be the one to facilitate this whole thing. Everything is riding upon the word that God gave David. If David fails this time, it's going to be a real mess. So God tells David, go down. He said, pursue, go get it. Go get your stuff. Go to verse 9. He says this. Watch what he does. When he goes to verse 9, he goes here, and David went, and he has set 600 men, watch this, that were with him. And he came to the brook Besor, where there they left behind, where those that were left behind, they stayed. Go to verse 10. So recognize here now, 600 started out, all right? 600 started out. But how many but David pursued, he had what? 400 men, 200 stayed back because they could not go. They were faint. They were not strong enough to handle this journey. You got to understand, people, everybody's not staying behind because they don't want to go. Some of people are staying behind because they're not strong enough. And you have to know how to help folk that's not strong enough. Why? Because the Bible says that the strong, y'all ain't gonna preach with me today. Y'all ain't gonna preach. Must bear the infirmities of the weak. It's not your time to give up on them. It's your time now to let them be where they are, and you get what they need so you can come back and help their life. You didn't leave the hood the way it was. You left the hood where it was to get some strength to go back and impart it to some people that need to know that God is a healer and a deliverer. God didn't pull you off of drugs to leave the drug addicts where they are. He pulled you off the drugs so that you can come strong enough to go back to them and share with them who God is. Y'all they looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm trying to help you understand some things. Some folk couldn't go because they weren't strong enough. Your friends weren't just being aggy, they just could not handle it. Go to verse 11. Watch this. And they found the Egyptians in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread, and he did eat, and they made him drink water. Go first on. And they gave him a piece of the cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread nor drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. Go on. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou? And whence art thou? He said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant of the Amalekite, and my master left me, watch this, because 3 days agone I fell sick. Now you got to understand this. Catch this revelation. They weren't coming back for him. They weren't coming back for him. They won't let him die right there because he didn't matter. See, this is what happened. This is the difference between church folk and kingdom folk. Church folk will leave you there to die. Y'all ain't gonna preach with me today. Church folk will let you right there rot and stink and go on. But it's the kingdom-minded people that recognize that we don't leave folk alone. We don't leave folk out there. We don't let folk just stay. But we go back and we help to get them so they can be better. But the Amalekites, because they were not of God, because they did not know God, they didn't care what happened to this man. But I'm so grateful. You better be grateful that the folk that dumped you off, God let somebody come and pick you up. Oh, because there were people in your life that dumped you off on the corner and thought that you was going to die because they saw no more worth in your life and they were going to leave you there. But God sent somebody by to pick you up and to strengthen you again. You want to just lift your hand and say, God, thank you for that. Thank you, because somebody could have left me still dead. They could have left me still there. But you strengthened. You sent somebody to bless my life. You were left for dead. So he said, no. Who you belong to? Now watch this. He belonged to the enemy. But when he made an invasion upon the south of the Cherethites, and upon the coast which belongs to Judah, and upon the south of Caleb, and we burned Ziklag with fire. And David said unto him, canst thou bring me down to this company? And he said, swear unto me by God that thou wilt neither kill me nor deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down into the company. Go on. And when he had brought him down, behold, they were spread abroad upon all the earth, eating and drinking and dancing, because of all the great spoil that they had taken out of the land of Philistine and out of the land of Judah. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, even in my mess, there's a praise. Maybe you'll catch that on the other side. Because they took it out of the land of the Philistines and Judah. They didn't just take it out of one area. They took it out of the place of my praise, the crazy place and my praise. So you got to understand something, people of God. See, this is the key. The key of the life is this one word, balance. God will not let one go greater than the other. Because in order for it to go better than the other, one has to tip the scales. God will not tip the scales. God will keep your life in balance. He gives you enough to keep you praising and keeps enough in you to remind you to keep praising. Oh my God. Has anybody ever seen yourself that it seemed like every time something good happens, something bad happens? It has to be that way, people of God, because God has to make sure that you stay focused on your assignment. He can't let you have all good days. He can't let you have all bad days. It must be a balance of life so that you can stay focused and pointed on what you're doing. The problem with most people is because they don't see the stuff going wrong in their life, they think that they're so high and mighty that they can't do no wrong. But when you are a real saint of God, you recognize that any point in time I can slip, any point in time I can mess up, but because I don't, I'm thanking God because what I could do, I'm not doing. Where I should be, I'm not there. Even though I'm sitting here giving God glory, all it takes is one trigger in my mind and I can go cuckoo. Fuck y'all sitting there like y'all crazy. See, you don't recognize that just one thing can trigger you going stupid. That's all it takes. One thing will trigger stupid. That's why you got to know and stay balanced with God. Don't think of yourself higher than you ought to. Recognizing that I'm still, even though I'm saved by grace and I'm on his side, that the devil is still ever lurking, trying to find a place to get back into my life. He's still trying to find a way to pull me back into it. And all it takes is one lapse of momentary sanity. Oh, y'all ain't going to preach with me today. That's all right. I'll preach to myself because I know, look at it, you mess with your family the wrong way. Mess with your money the wrong way. Y'all ain't going to preach with me. You start finding out that there's some stuff that was still way down on the inside that still tries to come back alive. He tries to come back and regain what he lost. That's why you got to remain balanced, because when you recognize that, but you recognize, but he was wounded for my transgression. He was bruised for my iniquity. See, when you understand these things right here, you don't glory in somebody else's fall, because the Bible says, lest ye fall. You don't glory in somebody else's demise, because that same demise that's on in your life can come to them. See, David recognized something here, y'all. He recognized that I can't take this man's life because he was out of order, because God should have took my life, y'all. Oh, my God. When I was out of order, God should have let me die, but he didn't let me die. So the same that God gave to me, I'm going to give to this man. See, you got to understand something, people of God. There must come a time in your life where you are strong enough to bear the infirmities of the weak and help people come through their stuff and not degrade them for what they did. I can't look at the crackhead and talk about how could you. Because I don't know what you took. I don't know what happened. I don't know where you were. I can't look at the alcoholic and say, I can't believe that you are alcoholic, because I don't know where you came from. I don't know what generational stuff was birthed inside of you. Y'all ain't going to talk to me today. See, that's why you must have compassion. One of the great signs, one of the fruit of the Spirit. But what happens is we fail to realize that such was some of us. We fail to realize that we've all been down the road that should have led to destruction. We all fail to realize that we all was off the off-beaten path. But if it was not for the grace of God, if it was not for the power of God, we all could have been crackheads. We all could have been alcoholics. We all could have been messed up. But all for the grace of God. We play with this thing, but the truth of the matter is, God didn't have to choose you. He could have chose your friend. The truth of the matter is, God didn't have to use you. He could have used your sister. He could have used somebody else. But thank you, God, that you didn't let me turn up like that. But you blessed me right here. Not because I was great, not because I was wonderful, but because your hand. It's upon my life. So David spares this man's life. The Bible says David smote them from twilight even to the evening for the next day, and there escaped not a man them save 400 young men, which rode off upon the camels and fled. And watch this. David recovered what? All. David did what? Recover what? All. Recovered all. This is where I want to get to. David recovered all that the Amalekites had carried away. And David rescued his 2 wives. As we're talking, my subject today, if you want to give a subject today, my subject today is you got it all back. Amen. Touch somebody, say you got it all back. See, now you got to understand something because let me help you understand something. Because you got to have it all back before you get it all back. Because David would have never moved if he didn't believe he had it all back. See, the problem with us is that we wait to see it before we can believe it. David didn't need to see it. All he needed was the word of the Lord. The Lord said, go get it. Recover all your stuff. See, he didn't wait for something. He didn't wait to see a sign. He didn't wait to see a piece of it. He didn't wait to see some of it. He said, no. He said, go get it. He said, you shall recover it. See, he didn't need nobody else to confirm this thing when God said it to him. Now, but he had to go now and do something about it. See, our problem is we want God to do all the work. Once he's speaking, now we want him to bring it to us. We want him to bring us the business. We want him to bring us the finances. We want him to bring us the church. We want him to bring us the people. No, baby, when God spoke it, now it's time for us to do the work. And it's time for us to go and make it happen. You got to go and fight against some things that's holding up your stuff in the realm of the earth. There's some stuff that's in the realm of the earth that belongs to you in this place. But the reason why you're not getting it is because you're thinking it's supposed to come to you because you got a word. When you got a word, you must go to it. Oh, it does not come into your life because you got a word. You got to go to the place. Go to the land. I will show you. Go to the mountain. I will tell you. You can't wait for it to come to you. Go get it. Look at your neighbor and say, what you waiting on? What are you waiting on to start the business? What are you waiting on to get back to school? What are you waiting on to start the things that God has promised? What are you waiting on? I'm waiting on the finances to come through. Why? You got a word. David had to go to it. Let me send a little email to your email address. The enemy's not bringing it back. What did the Bible say? The Bible says when the thief is caught, not when the thief bring it back. When the thief is caught, he has to repay double. Our problem is we're waiting on him to bring it back to us. He's not bringing it back. I'm going to get my life back. I'm going to get my joy back. I'm going to get my peace back. I'm going to get my love back. When are you going to get your stuff? Verse 18 starts with my 3 points. Verse 18 says, watch this. Go back to verse 18. And they recovered. What did he recover? All. But what did he recover in this phrase? His 2 wives. Yes. They recovered his 2 wives. First thing that you're going to recover, you're going to recover your ability to produce. Okay. David was nothing without something to produce. His lineage stopped when there was nobody that he could produce. He needed a woman in order for production. I don't care how much vision he had. If he didn't have a womb, there's no production. Okay, I'm about to mess some folk up. You got to understand what this is saying. This is not talking about women in the natural. You got to have a womb somewhere that can produce that which God puts in your man. Woman is only a man with a womb. Womb man. Oh my God. She came out of man, so therefore she is a man with a womb. So what she is, watch this. This is the only person that's dual of the man. Oh, because watch this. Man cannot produce by himself. But a woman has the capacity to speak it and birth it. Oh, they gonna talk to me today. See, that's why you gotta recognize, babies. That's why you gotta understand that in the natural there is no gender. In the spirit there is no gender, because we are just like God. We are man and woman that can able to speak and birth. So when you understand your power and you understand that I got to get my production back, you got to get that part back to you that's able to carry that which you speak. The problem with most of us is we got a good speaking life, but we don't have enough carrying life. We can't carry nothing full term because we don't know how to strengthen our womb. God, this is good today. Every one of us in here has the ability to speak and produce. But the problem has not been with our speaking. The problem has been with our carrying. If a woman cannot carry full term, or she can't carry, it terminates the baby. Watch this. It doesn't terminate her ever having a baby again. It just terminates that baby. See, the devil's been happy with half of you because you've been terminating. You've been speaking the right thing. You've been saying the right words, but you couldn't carry it full term. God, because see, carrying alters everything about you. Oh God. It alters how you eat. It alters how you sleep. It alters how you walk. It alters how you breathe. Y'all ain't gonna preach to me today. I thought I had a revelation church right now. See, you gotta understand something, that the stuff that you was eating before you got pregnant, you can't eat it now. Because some stuff will give you heartburn, some stuff is not good for the baby, and some stuff will mess you up. It'll put you in prenatal diabetes. Oh my God. So you don't know how to carry this thing. So you're not able to produce nothing. You're wonderful with speaking. You're wonderful with saying the word, but you can't carry long term. Because you're still trying to wear the same clothes you wore before you got pregnant. And they don't fit. You're trying to put on the same spandex that you wore before you got pregnant, and they don't fit. I know you like that black cocktail dress, but it don't fit this season. Y'all ain't gonna preach with me. Y'all, if y'all catch the revelation, you hear what I'm saying. I understand what you're trying to do. See, I know you could run before, but now you gotta walk. I know before it was easy to sit down, but now you gotta ease. I know you could get up early before, but now you need help. You ain't needing help because you're not helpless, but you need help because now you've changed. Oh my God. The problem with the church is that we don't like to ask for help, but the help is not because you're needy. The help is because you changed. So you can't carry. because you've terminated so many times. Not only have you stopped producing, but now you stop dreaming. Oh, I can maybe every woman in here, I can almost, that y'all, before you got pregnant, you dreamed of it. Some of you that are not pregnant yet, you dreamed of those days. You begin to get happy. You start looking at clothes. You start looking at which room is going to be for the baby. You start determining whether or not it's time to get a new place because this apartment is too small. See, all of your expectation is heightened off of something you don't see. The doctor says it's there, but you don't see it yet. But now you're preparing. You're going to get the maternity clothes. You're going to shop for the colors that you want the room to be. You don't even know yet what the baby is. But you say, you know what? I'll get either blue or pink. Because I can't go wrong. Y'all ain't catching this. Y'all ain't catching this. See, in other words, when your expectancy is so high, you go expecting either one. Because it don't matter which one happens as long as it happens. So you start going and finding options for everything. See, you don't look and you don't wait for stuff. The problem in the church now is that we're waiting on things to happen before we start moving. We're waiting on the transformation to take place before we start moving. You don't wait till you start seeing the bump to take the prenatal medicine. You take the prenatal medicine before you ever see the bump in there because it's necessary. Why am I preaching to myself today? I'm talking to some people in here that you're waiting to see stuff before you move. Stop waiting to see. Move. Second verse. Go get it. Next verse. Watch this. So the first thing is you're getting your production back. Your ability to produce. Every one of us in here has a baby that needs to be produced. Or babies. You're not just here to be idle. You're here to produce. Look at your neighbor, say, neighbor, you're required to produce. Let me stay right here. Do you not understand in the Old Testament, the New Testament got over. I'm going to close in a minute. New Testament kind of shied away from this. But in the Old Testament, it was very important to have an offspring. Yes. Why is that? The men. Why? Because it kept the lineage going. It kept things happening in their life. As the New Testament walks in, we don't hear too much about that era, but we see it. Because Jesus now becomes that seed that produces all seeds. Lineage. You see? But in us, we're comfortable birthing nothing. I'm going to camp out right here a minute. Since that just hit a thump, I must camp out right here. We're comfortable producing nothing in church. We're comfortable just going to church. We're comfortable not growing. We're comfortable not becoming. We're comfortable not doing anything. I don't have to do nothing in church, child. I ain't got to do nothing. I done did it so long, I ain't got to do nothing else in church ever again. In other words, what you're telling God is, I don't want to produce anymore. Anything that don't want to produce gets cursed. Y'all ain't catching it. Y'all ain't catching it. Okay, let me take you to the fig tree. When the fig tree was supposed to be producing fruit, the fig tree was not producing fruit in its season. And what did Jesus do? He cursed it at the root. In other words, if you don't produce, you are apt to get cursed. Unproductive. You will never That's why you can't become stagnant. And in the church, not just this church, but churches, there are stagnant people that are not growing, not becoming, not producing, all because they did it before and they terminated the baby, or they did it before and the baby never came to full fruition and they don't want to do it no more. So because they don't want to, not that they don't have the ability to, but they don't want to. How many folk on your road don't want to grow? How many folk on your road don't want to produce? They're comfortable just showing up. Comfortable being an aunt but never a mother. Comfortable being an uncle but never a daddy. You know why? Because we don't want the responsibility. I want to love your baby and send it back home to you. I want to bring it to church. I want to come and enjoy the baby that you're birthing, but I want to go home without the responsibility of it. I want to come and jump and laugh and have fun. I want to come and jump and be good and feel all the pleasures of being around it, but I don't want no parts in raising it. I know. Sobriety moment right now. I thought I was going to move to the next one, but I can't move to the next one right. Because too many of us are spending too much time doing nothing. Loving from afar. Appreciating it, but not being responsible for it. We love the accolades when it's good. That's my nephew. That's my cuz. But you did nothing to rear it. See, David recognized, if I'm going to produce again, I have to get back the things that caused me to produce. I had to get back my wives. I had to get back the thing that enabled me to produce. And anytime we take it for granted, or anytime we don't use it, guess what it does? He takes it away. See, the more you don't use a gift, the more you forget to give. Everything ain't like riding a bike before. I know what I'm supposed to say, just get back on. You know, it's like riding a bike. No, it's not. No, it's not. I know many musicians right now that quit playing. I knew many musicians that quit playing music. Put them behind an organ or piano right now, they don't even know what to do. Your gift will become so dormant till it will die in you. And see, you don't understand. Oh, God. Apostle preached a word yesterday that was just so profound. He talked about the Kairos moment. That every one of us have Kairos moment. And if we're not careful, we'll miss our Kairos moment. Not Chronos, not natural time, Kairos, God time. We will miss the timing of God to produce what we're supposed to produce. And watch this. When he said this, I almost cried. Because I never thought about it until yesterday. He said the children of Israel, they missed their Kairos moment. And the Bible says all the old ones died.
Didn't come back around.
Because they were hoping for a moment to come back again. And that moment never showed back up. Oh, y'all. That's why you can't miss your Kairos moment in God. Some of you are supposed to be doing great things. Some of you supposed to be doing stuff that's never been done before. Some of you are supposed to be taking in positions and doing stuff that only people would dream of. But because you're missing your Kairos moment, you're missing the moment to produce. All because you're holding on to what happened, to where you've been, to what went wrong, to what's not right, to what's not there, to what's not making. You're going on to all these things, and God's saying, I'm not concerned about what was. I'm not concerned about where you've been. I'm not concerned about what you did, good or bad or indifferent. The only thing is, what are you going to do now? You have a Kairos moment with God. In this moment, to produce stuff that you can produce. I got to say this because he dropped so many nuggets on me yesterday till it was just unreal. He said, we always listen to this thing, God won't put no more on us than we can bear. You know, and we talk about that. But we only think about that from the negative connotation, from the pains and the burdens and the struggles. But he can't put $25 million on you because you can't handle it. You can only handle $25. Oh, God, because he won't put no more on you than you can bear. So you trying to get $25 million, but you can't handle $25 yet. Oh, God. And see, we're struggling in life because God wants to bless us with more. He wants to do more in you. He wants to give you more, but your capacity has not increased. Lord, enlarge my territory. See, you can't get something that you're not trusted over. David proved that I can handle this. Why? Because he recognized this is not right. This is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me get it right. Most of us in here are not, I'm going to say this, and thank you, Holy Ghost. Most of us in here are not supposed to be working on a secular job. Okay, I'm going to talk this thing for real. Some of us are supposed to be working ministry. Y'all see, y'all. Okay, I'm going to tell you like I mean it. God did not call this ministry for us to have everybody working in secular. There needs to be people working in administration. There needs to be people that's working in outreach, not part-time. Full time. But we can't get there because we are not strengthened enough to trust it. We're not strengthened enough to believe it. Our wombs are not strong enough to carry this thing. And God's saying, how long are we going to run this race like this? There needs to be some places. There's supposed to be folk in this ministry that are so engrossed in faith and so strapped in faith that we move just like that because God said, and it happens. But what happened is we've allowed the things of the past, the things that we went through, the stuff that we came out of, the stuff that we worked through. We allowed all these things to hamper our vision. Let me tell you something, people of God. This is such the trick of the enemy that I love it because God is exposing him right now. The trick of the enemy was this, to deter you in your other ministry so you won't do nothing in this one. To wear you out so bad there that you can't function here. That's what the enemy wanted. The enemy wanted you to go through such a traumatic experiences and so much stuff that now when it's time to really do the kingdom work and the kingdom assignments that you can't do them. Not because you can, but because you refuse to. So, what happens? God prolongs the kairos. In hopes that we will receive it. I'm going to say this and I'm going to go quick. We play worship for you so they know I'm quitting. Be real with yourself for a moment, please. Really be honest with yourself for a moment. And ask yourself this question. Have I tapped out? Tapping out is a wrestling move. You tap out when this happens. When the opponent has you on the mat and they have you in a hold that you can't get out of. Watch this. They're not hurting you. You're not dying. You just find yourself in a position that you can't get out of. So what do? That signifies to the referee and to the opponent that you're done. Not to ever fight again. Just not now. Birthing ministry is not easy. Birthing an apostolic house is even harder. Your normal way of thinking, your normal way of doing things, your normal way of functioning goes completely out the window. That's why the enemy's coming and he fights harder, because he never wants us to be. And no matter what, if everybody taps out, who's left to fight? And everybody don't have to tap out at the same time. You tap out today, I'll tap out tomorrow. She tap out next week, he taps out the next day. The enemy is happy when we tap out, because that says to him, we have no way of escape. But the Bible tells us he always provides a way of escape. We just have to stay in the fight long enough to find it. Pastor, I've been fighting for 10 years. Okay, who said that was long enough? Pastor, I've been fighting for 30 years. Okay, who said that was long enough? Pastor, I've been fighting for 50 years. Okay, who said that's long enough? Think about it, people. Why do we put time limits and gauges on God in the natural? He's not bound by my time. He's not bound by this time and this place. Watch this. He's not crazy. He's God. We're the only ones that talk to him like he crazy. Like he don't know what he doing. Like he don't know where we are. Like he don't know what you're struggling with.
He's not needing you to tell him where you are. He's needing you to remind yourself where you are and how you get out. If God was finished with you, if everything that God wanted to do with you is over, you have no reason of existence. If you have fulfilled everything that God has told you to fulfill on this earth, there's no reason for existence. So the fact that you are still alive, breathing this air, is because there are still things that you are destined to do on this earth. And it's not sit on the couch. It's not be a part-time member. It's not be a part-time leader. It's not to be a part-time worker. But it's to invest your life into the kingdom. See, y'all don't like that right there. Y'all just got quiet on me. How can God give me what I need when I never invest back in him? Ain't it crazy to go to the bank that you don't have a bank account at and demand money out of it? Y'all know what that's called, right? Stealing. How can you demand God to pull something out of him when you never invested anything in him? How can you demand that God open up doors for you and free you when you've never invested into him? Today, my challenge, stand all over this building. The question I have, if you're ready to get back in the fight, hear what I'm saying, because you might say, well, I'm in the fight. I'm talking in the fight. Remember what I said about the 200. They didn't stay because they wanted to. They stayed because they couldn't make it. The other 400 now had to fight. They had to be in the fight, engaged in the fight. But this is the thing, y'all. This is the thing that blesses my life about this fight. It's already rigged. I'm going into a fight that I'm already going to win. I just got to go through the motions. See, I know y'all thought wrestling was real. I know it. It's fixed. The bad guy got to be the bad guy. The good guy got to be the good guy. And you got to sit there and you like, yeah. Oh, no. Oh, he about to lose. No. It's already fixed. They already know who's going to win. Everybody knows who's going to win. But they got to go through the motions. They just got to go through the motions of it. They got to give you a good show. See, God is a theatrical God, y'all. He likes a good performance. He likes to put on a good, if he had a good performance, your life would be dull. And y'all know your life ain't dull right now. It's like, how in the world I keep going over this thing? Because God likes theatrics. He loves it. But the bottom line is this fight is already yours. Just go through the motions. See, I'm going to tell you how old I am. Give him the Russian sickle. Y'all know Ivan Koloff. Give them the hand. That was Andre the Giant. He crafted that. Give them the camel ride. Y'all don't remember about that. That was the Sheik. He got on their back. He hold their head. Y'all know about that. Just enough for them to go down. And when it went down, y'all thought it was over. And the good guy's like, yeah. And he starts shaking, and the whole crowd is starting to rumble, and he's getting up, and he's like, and he starts doing this, and he starts doing this, and before you know it, he's back up, and now he got strength again. How did he get strength from that? Because it was fixed. Y'all ain't catching this. You are getting strength because it's fixed. You already won this battle. Just go through the motions. Go through it, laugh at it, cry at it, but know that it's already yours. We don't cry as folk that have no hope. Y'all, we have hope and we can make it. You just got to find your strength. I never knew how Hulk Hogan could get beat like that. Shake. Y'all know what he did? Bam, shake. And he said, he stands up, he says, and he finds strength. And he brings the big boot. Boom. 1, 2, 3. It's over. He's won. You gotta be knocked down sometime. In order for you to bounce back. Am I speaking to anybody today? So if it's you, and you say, Pastor, I'm getting back in the fight, I'm not tapping out no more. Just lift your hands right there. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of nobody. This is your moment with God. This is your moment here with him. Now listen, because I need you to get beyond yourself. This is you and God moment. This is not your neighbor. This is you. And like David did, David inquired. That meant he opened his mouth and he spoke. He said something to the Lord. I need you, if you're ready to not tap out no more, if you're ready to stay in the fight because you recovered it all, I need you to speak to him right now like you know it. Don't ask him for him. Tell him, what shall I? Now, what's your plan for me? What shall I do now? Shall I go back to school? Shall I go back to this? Shall I do this? Shall I do that? Ask him. He's a God that would answer. He wants you to ask him. He wants you to ask him. That's what he desires. But he needs you to know that you know what you want. What do you want from him? What do you need from him? What are you asking him for today? If it's your strength back, then tell him, Lord, give me my strength back. If it's your vision back, say, Lord, give me my vision back. If it's your birthing back, your birthing process, God, give me my birthing process back. Help me to produce again. Come on, I need you to do it like you believe it in this place. Come on, I need you to open up. It's no more shame. You can't be ashamed right here. Come on.
No other reaches.